The light novels in November promise to deliver a wide variety of things. Pizza, golems, and even some MILFs. All that and more coming right up. Hello everybody, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be taking a look at all the light novels releasing in the month of November 2018. I'm Justus R. Stone, and on this channel I cover all things light novels. I do this once a month, plus weekly I do countdowns of the popular titles in Japan, reviews, news, and the light novel podcast is posted here. So if you love light novels, or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, you should consider subscribing. So I'm going to give a brief rundown of all the titles releasing this month, and I do mean brief because there are 30 different releases in the month of November. If you're interested in picking any of these titles up, I do have links to the Book Depository and Amazon in the description down below, as well as a list of all the titles and what dates they come out, so if you want to sort of cross-reference any of that, you can do so. Starting on November 3rd, from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 7 of The Magic in This Other World is Too Far Behind. This one about a boy who gets accidentally swept away to another world, along with his buddy who was the actual intended hero. But it kind of turns out that accident boy there is also an incredibly powerful magician in our world, and continues to be an even more ridiculously powered magician in this other world. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I read the first one. There were a lot of little things in it that I kind of thought, oh, this could be really interesting. And a number of you sounded off in the comments saying that, yes, the items that I mentioned interest in are explored as the series goes on. So I'm kind of looking forward to trying to find some time to squeeze in another couple volumes of this one. But J-Novel's been pumping these out once a month, so they've been getting away from me. On November 4th, also from J-Novel Club, volume 17 of Invaders of the Rokujouma, the wild harem series about a boy who moves into a cheap apartment, and then for a variety of different reasons, a whole bunch of females try to take the apartment from him, and some of them are ghosts, aliens, shamans. There's a wide variety of girls vying to try and take this apartment from him. This one has a lot of fan love in the community, and I actually enjoyed the first volume. This is another one of those series that J-Novel Club has been putting out one volume every single month, so been very easy to kind of get away. I would like to read a little bit more of it, even though I've given up all hope of actually trying to catch up. On November 5th, also from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 4 of The Master of Ragnarok and Blesser of Einherjar. This one about a boy who is isekai'd to another world where he becomes the head of a clan. Very heavily rooted, this story, in Norse mythology. Just recently had an anime. Now, I've heard from quite a number of you. I didn't watch the anime myself, but the anime got kind of trashed a bit by people, but the light novels, as I understand it, are considerably better. So if you watch some of the anime and you were kind of like, I highly suggest at least checking out the light novels, because, as I said, my understanding is that they are far, far superior to what the anime was. Also on November 5th, this one from Cross Infinite World. It is a brand new light novel, and it is Emeth, Island of Gollums. Now this one actually has a fairly decent pedigree. I'll read you the description that Cross Infinite World has. Cross Infinite World is excited to bring you Emeth, Island of Gollums, grand prize winner of the 3rd Square Enix Novels Award, fully revised with new art by Murakaruki and new scenes added by the authors for its first ever English release. Co-authors Sookie Tsukishima and Tora Tsukishima have served as writers for many epic games and novels, such as Final Fantasy Type 0, The Last Truth, Final Fantasy Agito, Imaginary Range, Root Double, Ingress the Animation, and more. Creating life. Such power is blasphemy against God. In Emeth's world, the manufacturing of golems, automatic dolls that move according to human will, has become the norm. This sets the stage for an epic adventure against the backdrop of St. Roland's Archipelago, where the Torah Church presides over all creation and operation of these golems. Step into the story through the perspective of Cliff, a boy living in the slums of a Torah-controlled island who so fervently wants to become a golem tamer that he has begun to illegally build one. His mundane world is suddenly shattered one day when he crosses paths with a mysterious girl. This meeting sets the gears in motion for a thrilling journey involving powerful golems, corruption, and the very fate of the island itself. So this one sounds kind of cool and sounds like a little bit of a departure from Cross Infinite Worlds. I mean, Cross Infinite World has generally put out far more sort of shoujo, books based on like otome type games. This one, well, I mean, it really does sound like the setup that you would have in a Square Enix game. So I'm kind of curious to check this one out. As far as I understand, it is a standalone volume. There's only just the one book. So definitely, you know, if you're looking to check something out that's kind of cool and is not a long series commitment, this might be one to look at. On November 9th, from J-Novel Club, volume number 8 of Demon King Die Mao. The story of a boy who has high and noble ideals, travels to a school to learn magic, only to be told that his future is to become the enemy of mankind as the Demon King. What's a kid to do? This one is sort of like a comedy, high school, magical battle type series. I like the setup a lot, and I've kind of heard that the series gets kind of like crazy as it goes on. There's been all sorts of really wild rumors about I mean it's unfortunate, but about the mental health of the author as he approached the end of this series. So I've only read the first volume so far, but I have to admit, like, I am very, very curious to kind of check this one out and sort of see how that progression goes, because yeah, it sounds like the ending is kind of wild. On November 13th, from Yen On, we have volume number 17 of A Certain Magical Index. This one about, well, a series of characters in a world where magic has become kind of a science, and most of it takes place on an island, or a city, where basically magic is taught and researched, and the story becomes wild with the church and angels and espers and all sorts of crazy stuff. I've watched the first 2 seasons of the anime. I actually really liked it, but again, like many other people, I watched it a number of years ago because we have waited a very long time for the 3rd season, which has just finally started airing on Crunchyroll. Again, I've only read the first volume of the light novels. I think part of that was because when I read it, I had recently watched the anime, couldn't really kind of get into it because of already knowing what was going to happen and far down the road even. So it's kind of a series that I set aside, but right now it seems this 3rd season of the anime looks like it potentially could finish telling the story of A Certain Magical Index. There is a sequel series called New Testament, but so this is kind of covering, this season is covering the material that we're getting in the light novels in English right now. Also on November 13th, from Yen On, we have volume number 5 of Magical Girl Raising Project. Yes, the dark magical girl story about magical girls killing each other for dominance and power, and yeah. So if you like your dark magical girls, this could be a series to check out. Also on November 13th, from Yen On, we have volume number 6 of My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected. The story about a bunch of fairly dysfunctional individuals being forced to work together to solve problems of their classmates, and maybe even along the way solve their own issues. I've read the first, what volume am I on now? I'm on the 4th volume, I think, of that series. Yeah, I've read the first 3 volumes of this series, and I really enjoy it. I really particularly enjoy the main character. I'm going to be trying to get caught up because, well, I want to read this series. Now, this one actually is going to be ending in Japan. The 13th volume is coming out very soon, and it is going to be the end of the series. So we're about halfway through in terms of the English releases with this one coming out. Also on November 13th from Yen On, we have volume number 5 of Sword Art Online Progressive. Now this is the one where Reiki Kawahara is retelling the Einherjar storyline of Sword Art Online, and basically the entire series is dedicated to just the Einherjar arc. Personally, kind of the way I think Sword Art should have been from the very beginning, but, well, nonetheless. And I guess Kawahara kind of agrees, because obviously he's writing it that way. Progressive, I've read the first volume. These ones are only coming out like one a year or so, although the last two in Japan came out much closer to each other. I know a lot of fans are kind of hoping that Kawahara picks up the pace on these, because he's got 75 floors to cover, and I think in Volume 6, did somebody tell me they've only gotten to like the 7th or 8th floor, if even that, so still got a long way to go. But I will say that in terms of the first volume, and I have heard feedback from other people who have read further ahead than me, this series, it goes a long way to, I guess, correct some of the issues that people have with Sword Art. Kirito is a much better character. Asuna is a much more fleshed out character. Their relationship is much more of an equal partnership and has been given room to grow and develop over time. So if you've liked Sword Art, this is definitely a series to check out. And with this release, I think we're only one volume behind Japan. I believe only volume 6 is ahead of this one so far in Japan. Also on November 13th from Yen On, and this is a new light novel series, the hero and his elf bride open a pizza parlor in another world. Kind of tells you the setup right there in the title. Now, I haven't really seen any evidence that there's more than just one volume of this series, so if any of you have knowledge about that, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. After being struck and killed by a pizza delivery bike, Kaito is given the option to be reborn in an alternate world as one of 3 hero classes. 1, a swordsman, 2, a magician, or 3, a hero who saves the world with pizza. When the first 2 options are quickly taken, Kaito is forced to live his second life as a hero endowed with the power of pizza in a land of an herbivorous race of elves, one of whom happens to be his new wife. What kinds of pizza-related adventures lie ahead for our high-calorie hero and his food-obsessed elf bride? I don't even know where to go with this one, but you know I'll read it, so I'll let you know when I do. Finally, on November 13th from Yen On, we have volume number 2 of WorldEnd. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? This one, I read the first volume and loved it. Looking very, very forward to reading the second volume of this series, basically set hundreds of years after humanity's demise, and where the world is inhabited by these great beasts, and all life aside from those beasts has had to flee to floating islands. And it kind of follows these girls who have been, well, pretty much bred to fight the monsters, and it follows the main character is the last remaining human being who has basically been given the job of being the guardian to these girls. The first volume was just excellent. Lots of, just like, you could feel that melancholy hangover. Like, I have no doubt this series is going to make me ugly cry at some point. There was an anime based on this one, and in Japan there is a sequel series currently running to this one. On November 15th, from J-Novel Club, volume number 2 of Seirei Gensouki, Spirit Chronicles. This I have not had a chance to read the first one. I do have it, actually, on my iPad here. I'm hoping to read that in the next couple of weeks and get a review done of it. A really popular series in Japan. It is kind of like a reincarnation isekai type series, mainly about this boy who finds himself in a very kind of, well, it's kind of like a double other world. Not only is it an isekai, but then it's also this, he's inhabiting the body of this boy who's very poor, but because the boy has some magical ability, he's able to thwart a kidnapping, which gets him rewarded by being put into academy for kids that are incredibly rich and powerful. And so it's like a fish out of water type series. Yeah, I'm gonna check this one out, like I said, because it is very popular in Japan, and you all know that I try on this channel to at least read one volume from every series that we have released. On November 17th, from J-Novel Club, and this is a brand new series from them, a series that I'm actually really excited and looking forward to checking out, and that is volume number 1 of My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. After hitting her head particularly hard one day, Duke Clause's daughter, Katarina, suddenly recalls all the memories of her past life, that of a teenage Japanese girl. Just before her untimely death, this girl recalls playing an otome game that is exactly like the world she's living in now. She is now Katarina Claes, the antagonist of the otome game, who nastily hounded the protagonist until the end. Knowing all the possible outcomes of the game, she realizes that every single possible route ends with Katarina being murdered or exiled. In order to avoid these catastrophic bad ends, she has to use her knowledge of the game and her own wiles, starting with breaking off this engagement with the prince. Will Katarina survive while making her way through this world where bad flags trip at every turn? Find out in this reverse harem rom-com led by everybody's favorite Villainess. And actually this one was just announced that it's getting an anime adaptation. So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. I've heard from a number of people that it is an absolutely hysterical series and that it's excellent. So I'll definitely be picking this one up when it comes out. On November 20th, from Seven Seas, it's the print edition of volume number 4 of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? This one about a Japanese girl who is incredibly a high achiever who, when she dies tragically, requests of God to just be made average because she found it such a hassle that everybody always expected so much of her. And so she's reborn into this other world and finds out that God has a very weird sense of average. I actually just read the first volume. I'm going to be doing a review on it. Probably it'll be out in the next week. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, actually. I'll talk more about it in my review. Like I said, watch for it this week. Also on November 20th from J-Novel Club, this is a new standalone volume, and that is Echo. The Vocaloid song Echo, with 8 million views, has now been novelized. Written by Akira from the novelization of Yume Nikki and Ensemble Stars, and illustrated by Oguchi, an official illustrator for Kankole, this song of madness from Crusher P is weaved into a story in which the TV girl, or prima donna's, identity is finally revealed. It's kind of a cool song, actually, but I'm still not exactly sure how this is going to work as a novelization. But I will say that I read the novelization of Yume Nikki, and it was excellent. A very kind of trippy and different experience. One I do recommend that if you're looking for something that's more atmospheric and mysterious. So I'm kind of leaning towards checking this one out more for the sake of the author than I am necessarily for the topic. Also on November 20th, from Seven Seas, we have a standalone light novel, and that is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. This one's also been known as Let Me Eat Your Pancreas, the coming-of-age tearjerker that inspired 2 films. So yes, there was actually a live-action and an anime film based on this. A high school boy finds the diary of his classmate, only to discover that she's dying. Yamauchi Sakura has been silently suffering from a pancreatic disease, and now exactly one person outside her family knows. He swears to her that he won't tell anyone what he learned, and the shared secret brings them closer together in this deeply moving, first-person story that traces their developing relationship in Sakura's final months of life. So again, it's a one to make you ugly cry. Again, it is one that I've heard is very, very good. And well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to see my emotional state to decide if I pick this one up or not. Also on November 20th from Seven Seas, we have volume number 3 of Toradora. This one, the series about a boy and girl who decide to conspire together in order to hook up with the other's best friend. I've read the first volume. I have the second volume, which I'm definitely going to be reading because it is just a lot of fun. For one thing, it is a very slice-of-life comedy, high school type comedy series, which is not something that we have a lot of in English released light novels. So that kind of makes it fun and a little bit different, but also I just really found it very entertaining. So I'll definitely be checking this one out. I'll be getting the second one read, and well, maybe I'll even be able to get it in time for the third one when it releases. Finally, on November 20th from Vertical, we have the box set of Monogatari Season 1. Now, of course, this is a series by Nishio Ishin. That is the supernatural series following a group of teenagers, well, initially they're teenagers, as they encounter all of these abnormalities in their hometown, and ghosts, vampires, other assorted monsters, yokai, and stuff like that. It's actually a really, really good series as far as I'm concerned. It's one that I've really enjoyed. I'm currently up to date on that series. It's particularly well known for its snappy dialogue and, sort of wordplay and so forth. This one is, of course, a box set collecting what is classed as the first season. So it's, I believe, Kisu Monogatari, the 3 Bake Monogatari books, the 2 Nisei Monogatari books, and Neko Monogatari, the first one, which I think was Neko Monogatari Black, I want to say. And it's all collected in this box, which has original Sobin art, and Sobin is the artist for the Monogatari series, both in Japan and in English, because Vertical's been doing their own covers for the English release, and Sobin's been providing that, and he does beautiful work. The box is an original piece that was created by Sobin just for this box set. As far as I understand it, it's a pretty limited set, so it's like once it's gone, that's it. I'm kind of hoping to eventually have one in my hands, and I'll talk to you guys a bit more about it when that happens, if that happens, if Canada Post ever gets around to not being on strike. On November 22nd from J-Novel Club, volume number 11 of In Another World with My Smartphone. The series following Toya as he is swept away to another world and uses his smartphone to, well, basically just do whatever he wants. And, he goes from a pretty simple kid to becoming I think he's like a leader of a country by this volume. I don't even know. It's just one of those series that it's like the author just seems to want to, whatever he wants to do, he does. And just seems to kind of make it work. I mean, this series is like a kitchen sink light novel series. But because it just kind of wears that as proudly, it's kind of hard to hate on it, actually. I've read the first 2 volumes. I want to read more of it because it's kind of light, but it's entertaining too, and just how ludicrous it gets. Also on November 22nd from J-Novel Club, it's a brand new series, volume number 1 of Apparently It's My Fault My Husband Has the Head of a Beast. Love is a beastly business. Rumor has it that Princess Rosemarie is an antisocial shut-in, but the truth is far stranger. The young princess hides from the world because of a strange condition. Whenever someone expresses a negative emotion, she sees their head transform into that of a fearsome beast. It seems there's no one in the dishonest world of courtly manners she can trust, until she meets Prince Claudio of Baltzar, whose features remain ever human. The two marry at once, but she learns too late that his human features aren't thanks to a kindly nature. Claudio has become a very real beast, all because of Rosemarie's accidental theft of his mana many years prior. Claudio's life and future are on the line until he gets his mana back, and Rosemarie would give anything to know how to do it. Will they break their mutual curse in time for Rosemarie to get home for tea, or will Claudio lose his temper first? Find out in this new romantic fantasy. So this is J-Novel Club kind of reaching out a little bit more and kind of leaving behind some of the testosterone-fueled isekais and trying its hand at sort of a Beauty and the Beast twisted sort of romance. As far as I know, this one's only 2 volumes long, so it could be cute, and I think it's probably worth checking out. And like I said, it's only 2 books, so it's not like it's a massive commitment if you get into it. On November 24th from J-Novel Club, volume number 2 of Amagi Brilliant Park. This one about the park full of very real fantasy characters who have escaped their homeland to live in this park, and about the teenage Japanese boy who has been enlisted to try and help keep the park afloat. I've seen the anime and I found it incredibly entertaining. I do have the first volume and I am going to be reviewing it in the next week or 2. Also on November 24th from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 6 of Outbreak Company. The series about a boy who is abducted by the Japanese government to serve as their resident otaku and to manage a company which is bringing otaku culture to another world, which has been, a portal has been found in Japan to access this other world. So the Japanese government are like, hey, we can export otaku culture to this other world, and they enlist him to do so, and hilarity ensues. Actually, you know what? I read the first volume of this, and it kind of went to some slightly more dark and intense areas than I thought it would, which made me very intrigued by it. I haven't had a chance to read more of it, but I would certainly like to, based on sort of where that first volume started taking the series. On November 26th, from J-Novel Club, volume number 2 of Dera Werewolf, The Annals of Veit. This one, the series about a man who is reincarnated as a werewolf and is part of the Demon Lord's empire, and he's placed in charge of an occupied town and is trying to do his best to try and get the demons and humans to actually get along. I haven't had a chance to check this one out yet, but I am definitely going to read it in the next couple of weeks. Again, trying to get caught up with all the series premieres that came out from J-Novel Club in the past 2 months. So I'll definitely be checking out the first volume of this one, hopefully in time that I can be done before second volume comes out. Finally, we've got a bunch of titles releasing on November 27th. First up, from 7 Seas, we have the print release of volume number 3 of Clockwork Planet. This one notable, of course, because of the involvement of Yu Kamiya, the author of No Game, No Life. This one about the world which has basically died and been reborn through the power of clockwork mechanics, and about, well, it follows kind of this group of characters as they sort of figure out the mysteries of this world and how it works, and there's kind of conspiracies, and I read the first volume and actually found it very entertaining. I haven't had a chance to catch up on the rest of it. I believe there's only 4 volumes currently. Yu Kamiya is pretty infamous for his slow output of work, although part of that is probably due to the fact that he has some fairly serious health issues. There are some other mitigating factors as well, but well, I'll leave those alone. In any case, this one is going to be released. It's been released by J-Novel Club digitally, but 7 Seas is doing the print release of these ones. Also on November 27th, this one from Vertical, and it's a brand new Nishio Ishin series, and that is Katana Guitar E. This is Omnibus Volume 1. It actually collects volumes 1 to 3 of the series. Now, this series was released one book a month for an entire year. So there's 12 volumes, but as I understand it, they're relatively short. So even by combining 3 volumes together, they add up to about the size of a slightly larger than average light novel. So if you're kind of like, oh my god, this is going to be massive, it's apparently not. From the pen of the author of the legendary Monogatari novels comes another unique offering available in English for the first time. The basis of an animated series, Katana Guitar E brings to life a swordless swordsman and a self-described schemer who embark on a quest to obtain 12 peculiar masterpiece blades. Featuring a gatefold color insert, beautiful interior art, and copious bilingual footnotes, this hardcover edition is the first of a quartet scheduled to collect the entire original run. Brimming with action, romance, and unexpected wisdom, often as tongue-in-cheek as The Princess Bride, and shot through with ninjas, samurais, and secret moves, Swordtail is Musashi for a new generation and a gift for any fan of adventure. So I'll definitely be checking this one out. I mean, I already said that I'm a fan of Monogatari and Nishio Ishin's, and I've heard from a few other people that this is a pretty good series, so I'm kind of looking forward to checking this one out. Not to mention that it's kind of a period type piece, which we don't get often in light novels, at least not the ones released in English. Also on November 27th, and we're actually going to finish out the month with a couple of Yen On releases. First up, we have volume number 4 of So I'm a Spider, So What? The series about a girl who is reincarnated as a spider. This one I've really enjoyed. The first 2 volumes, I've read them and really enjoyed. I mean, definitely picking up volume 3 and we'll be continuing this series. It is a lot of fun. The main character is fun to read. She's got a bit of biting sarcasm and wit, and I also like her self-awareness as well. So definitely a series that I recommend and enjoyed a lot more than, I'll be honest, I thought I would. Also on November 27th, we have volume 2 of Defeating the Demon Lords a Cinch, if you have a ringer. I read the first one of this. This is a series about it focuses, actually, it's kind of interesting. So it is an isekai because there is a hero who's been summoned from another world, but the series actually focuses on a party member of the heroes who finds out that basically he is the most powerful member of the party, even far surpassing the hero themselves. And so essentially he kind of has to operate from the shadows to try and help the hero along and try and boost the power of the hero and the other party members so that they actually will have a hope in defeating the Demon Lord. I like the first one. It was kind of, I think it's one of those series that definitely, it's going to have the people who like it and the people who hate it. The main character is quite a sour individual. He cusses, he curses, he's not the most priestly individual, even though he's supposedly a priest. But I had a lot of fun with it, actually. I kind of rather enjoyed that one. I'll be definitely picking up volume 2. Also on November 27th from Yen On, we have volume number 11 of Dorahrah. This one, the urban fantasy paranormal series about gangs and headless motorcycle riders and all sorts of really crazy coolness. I have fallen behind on this one, but I really liked it. You know, it's definitely a series I would like to pick up and finish because it is so different from a lot of things. You know, it really is like an urban fantasy type series, especially, like I said, bringing the whole idea of like different types of gangs and everything else, and swindlers and information peddlers, and yeah, there's just a lot of really unique and cool characters in this series, and it's always cool to see how like the volumes, each one sort of starts off with all these sort of disparate type stories going on, but eventually they all just kind of coalesce really nice into this sort of seamless single story by the end. Also on November 27th from Yen On, we have volume number 4 of the Saga of Tanya the Evil. A story about a Japanese man who ticks off God and finds himself reincarnated as a little lolly girl who has intense magical power and who is living in a country that has become embroiled in war. And basically this guy schemes that, you know what, he's going to do what he can to become a hero on the battlefield so that he can advance his station in life. I read the first one. The series is much more, it reads much more like a historical telling. Like it's not much of a light novel. There is obviously quite a great deal of research that has gone in to the series in terms of researching tactics, and in many ways it's kind of retelling our own World War conflict, but it's obviously quite different because, you know, magic, but nonetheless, I really like the first volume. I do have the second volume, but man, these books are long and dense. I think that's part of the reason that I haven't gotten into it yet, because I'm like, I could read like 3 other light novels for just that one if I did that. So, but eventually I will get to it, because like I said, I did like the first volume. Finally, let's close out this month on November 27th with a brand new series from Yen On. And this one is volume number 1 of Do You Love Your Mom? And Her 2-hit multi-target attacks. A new kind of mom-com role-playing adventure. What would you do if you got transported into a video game? With your mom. That's the dilemma facing high schooler Masato Osuki, who has been unwittingly thrown into an RPG world with his doting mother close behind as part of a secret government scheme. As an avid gamer, Masato is eager to show off his skills, but that's hard to do when your mom is an insanely overpowered, dual-wielding, multi-target specialist. So if you ever hear somebody just talking about that mom isekai, yeah, this is the book. This is the one. They've actually just announced this one is getting an anime as well. So this one became notable mainly because of the advertising campaign. If I recall, and I should have looked this up before I did this video, but if I recall, the first way that it kind of became really prominent was they ran a campaign where if you brought your mom to a bookstore, you got a copy for free. If I recall, I think that was the first campaign they did for this series, and I'm pretty sure they've done at least another 1 or 2 afterwards. So it'll be interesting to see what this one is like. I'll definitely be checking it out because, well, you know, just because, how can you not? How can you not? It's, yeah, anyway. So those are all the light novels releasing in the month of November of 2018. Again, if you want to pick any of these up, I do have links to Amazon and the Book Depository in the description down below, as well as the dates when everything releases, so you can kind of go over that again. If you've hung in there for the entirety of this video, thank you so much. I know it's long, but again, the only way to really make it short would just be to say the title and move on, but I think that might be kind of boring, but, you know, if give me your thoughts in the comments down below. So if you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, you should consider subscribing. I do this video every month, as well as weekly videos with news, reviews, countdowns of what's popular in Japan, as well as the Light Novel Podcast. Thank you all for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.